Childcare in the UK can be complex and complicated, especially if you are new here and maybe you're trying to figure out which one is the best type of childcare option. Maybe you're looking at nurseries or nannies, or you have heard about available funding options and you're wondering about eligibility and amounts. This video is for you. I'm going to go through all that, break it down for you so that as you go on forward, you have an idea of what you're eligible for, what your options are, and what the potential cost is going to be for you. So yeah, let's get right into it. Hello guys, welcome or hopefully welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about childcare here in the UK and which options are available, how much they cost, and available support from the government that you can use. If you like this type of content and you're also interested in other areas of life in the UK, motherhood or career stuff, please make sure that you like my video, you comment and you share so that you can help me grow. I'm currently working towards getting 2,000 subscribers, so please guys, help me out here. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is free childcare. So this is essentially when you have a baby and you're not necessarily going to pay a little bit extra for that. So that would be maybe you have relatives or family who are available to come and help. I say it free, but obviously you might have, if you are not from here and you're an immigrant like me, you might have to apply for the visa and their costs associated with the visas and the flights, and they can come here for 6 months to help you with the baby. You can also, I've heard some people who have maybe someone is a student who's coming here and they can live with you, and in exchange they can help you babysit. So that's another free option, but again obviously there's a give and take situation because you are offering them accommodation, maybe food, depends on your arrangement. But for that one it's a bit tricky because you would rather know the person. You don't want to, I guess, have a random stranger into your home, especially if they're going to be taking care or helping you take care of your children. And then the last one would be one or either of the parents can take a career break. So you realize that especially if you have more than one child, that might end up being the solution because the more children you have, the more expensive it might be. So sometimes most of the times moms will have to take a career break. So maybe you've got your 3 kids, you take a career break until they get into school. So that's another option. So I mean, for someone like me, that wasn't the best option for me because I wanted to go back to work, wanted to have an income to continue to contribute to the household, and I didn't have, my parents were not able to come here for longer than the 6 months, so I had to take alternative methods. So that would take us on to the next options. So the next options are also in-house options. So the first one would be getting a nanny. Now they are certified nannies, so they are registered with the government, they have received some training, and they can come in for a given number of hours. So maybe depending on how your work schedule is, they can come in for 5 hours, they can come in for 6 hours. You can book them in and they can come in and take care of your child. The advantage again is it's all in your house, it's all in your space, but again it means that you are having a stranger in your house, so you would really need to make sure that you do the necessary checks. I know some people have got informal arrangements. I've seen on some Facebook groups, especially in our immigrant communities, you can try and informally get a nanny. Whilst that might be a cheaper arrangement, you do need to be careful about who you bring. Again, like I said, who you bring into your home, they are going to get exposed to your children, to your partner. They're going to be in your space, so it needs to be someone that for some degree level you can trust. But the advantage is obviously maybe if you're working from home, you can pop in, see how they're settling in, see how your child is doing, and see how everything is going. Another option for the in-house is a babysitter. So these ones are not necessarily trained like nannies, because nannies would then do everything, like they'll change the diaper, they'll feed. If you have any extra asks, for example, you want them to help with homework, you can do this, do that, they can help you with those things. Babysitters, it's more of like a more informal arrangement where someone comes in. So for example, you have a date night, or you want to go somewhere for an hour or two for the baby shower to attend. Maybe you can go with a baby to a baby shower, but maybe something else, another event to go to where you want to leave your baby, you can get a babysitter. What others have told me is that sometimes if your child is going to nursery and you're very cool with the nursery assistants there, you can get someone who already knows the child who can babysit for you. Now, the one thing about the in-house childcare is that it is a bit, expensive, because again, someone is going to come to your house for a particular number of hours. So they would probably cost maybe $500 per week if they are coming, 500 or more per week, because they charge by the hour if they are coming. So it's slightly a bit expensive, but I would advise you to get someone who's accredited. Let's move on to the third type that I'm going to talk about, which is the one which is outside, that is nurseries or childminders. So nurseries or daycare, those are the places where you go. There are nursery assistants, so there's a room where your babies will be. There'll be 3. So if it's a baby room, for example, for my baby, she went when she was 9 months old. For that age range, they've got a 1 to 3 staff to child ratio. So it means there's going to be 1 adult for every 3 children. If you want to hear detailed things of how we picked our nursery, I've got a video on that, which I will put a link in the description box. So that is nursery for you. They will give you what the child's going to eat, what the activities are. They can give you notes every day of what they've done. It's more, it's cheaper than nanny, so your child can go maybe from 8 to 5 and you can pick them up. They can go for all 5 days on the week or selected days. And so yeah, here in Milton Keynes, the price will range, if it's a full day, it's like from 8 to 5 or from 8 to 6, it will range from around $70 to $90. There are some who are more than that, but again, it depends with your budget. Now, the next on that category are childminders. Now, a childminder is, for example, I want to be a childminder. Again, I have to be registered, I have to be accredited, and then I'll have my space, which I'll say I will be in charge of kids. So you can see their space, they'll have their files, they'll have their accreditation. So you are going with your child and you're leaving them with the childminder for the particular set of hours. They're slightly cheaper than nurseries because it's happening at their home. I guess the risk again is, it's someone's home. You really never know what someone is doing with your child, but the fact that they are accredited, it helps. And then the other thing is, you might have to tell them a little bit extra of the kind of things that you want your child to do. So for example, if you do want them to help you with homework or something like that, you need to be very specific about the way you want your child to be raised so that they can help you with that. So again, there are apps and you can check ratings of how that childminder is rated. So that is a childminder. So essentially, that is a full breakdown of the options that you have and that you can consider. If you're still watching at this point, why not subscribe, share and like my video. And now we will move on to funding options. The government has some schemes that can help parents to afford childcare. So as I've already mentioned in many videos, childcare is very expensive here in the UK, and the government recognizes that and tries to help out parents with these costs. So the first funding option available is universal childcare for 3 and 5 and 4 year olds. So it's 15 free hours per week. So this one, as long as you are a parent, whether you're working or not, if you are just a parent in the UK, your child is 3 or 4, they are eligible for 15 hours of free childcare. So what you just need to do is, when you're looking for a nursery, make sure that they accept that. I think most of them do, and if your child is 3 and 4, they will apply that towards the bill. So for example, if your child is going to be attending nursery for 50 hours a week, the 15 hours will be free. right? So it's 15 hours for 38 weeks. If a nursery is going to be open for 50 weeks, sometimes they can say they will spread the 15 hours over the 50 weeks, such that per week is no longer 15 hours, but it's maybe 10 or 11. I hope that's clear. So that is the first one. The next one is free childcare for working parents. Now this one is for you to meet the first condition is you both need to be working. So you and your partner both need to be working. And then the second thing is there's a minimum threshold of how much you're making. So I think at the moment it's 2.5 thousand per month. Each of you should be making that. That's like a minimum wage that they're looking at. And then the age of your child should be from 9 months. Now the fourth condition is the catch for some of us, because it is your immigration status. So for you to be eligible, you either should be a British citizen, you should have settled or pre-settled status, and that is you need to have your indefinite leave to remain. Now, if you know what's happening in the news and the buzz with the indefinite leave to remain, that is why it is very important. And then the next thing is you should also be able to have access to public funds. Now, a lot of us who are on skilled worker visas, there is a condition that you should not receive public funds. So if you cannot receive public funds, then you cannot receive these free childcare hours for working parents. I know that's a bummer. We are both working very hard, paying our taxes, but because of this condition, we can't get those hours. So previously there were 15 hours, and then they've been increased to 30. And I think it initially started at 2 years, but now it starts from 9 months. So once you meet all the 4 conditions, then you apply. You need to apply the month before the term begins. So if, for example, my baby if she was eligible, she started in September, then we should have applied by the 31st of August. If we're going to be eligible in January, then we need to have applied by the 31st of December for the next term. Another thing is, if your nursery is private, which most of them are, you need to ask to make sure that they accept. So for example, the nursery where my child is going, they only accept 15 hours, they don't accept 30 hours. So that's something that you need to be aware of, because you don't want to be surprised where you're like, okay, I'm applying for 30 hours and they say no, we don't take that. So that is another thing that you need to look into. So the third funding option is tax-free childcare. So this is an arrangement where you set up, so by the way, all this you need to create a childcare account, because this is all administered online. So you create, for the tax-free childcare, you create an account online. You're going to put in, so for example, if your childcare cost is $100, you put in $80, the government will top up the 20 for you so that you can pay 100 to the school. Again, they are eligibility options that have to do with how much you make, and you then will be able to be eligible for it. I will put in links for the latest guidance in terms of how much it is, but if you're working, you then most likely will be eligible for it. And the maximum that you can get per year is £2,000. So the next one and the final one that I'll talk about for the funding options is universal credit. So universal credit is almost like tax-free childcare, but it's like you have to, it's more affected by how much you earn. So for example, if in your bank account you have savings of more than 16,000, you're automatically not eligible for universal credit. So it allows more people to be able to afford the childcare. So these are the options that are there, and I know there are more. For example, if there's an element of disability or illness, or if the parents are unemployed and stuff like that, there are all more options that you can explore. If you have specific questions about that, please let me know and I can do more research on that. So yeah, this is essentially how childcare works here in the UK, and my tip for you is, if you are planning to have a baby or you're already pregnant, start looking at this now. The earlier that you apply, you look into these things, the better it can be, because the best places are scooped up very early, and you don't want to be in a situation where you miss out because you were late to the party. So please register early. I didn't do that, and it was a nightmare to get a very good school at an affordable price. The next thing is, please weigh your options so you can assess. Go and visit a childminder and see what they do and how they do what they do, so that you see which option is better for you. If you can afford a nanny and you maybe try it out and see how it's going to work for you, go to a few nurseries, see how that is going to work for you, and then you see what works the best for you as a mom, as a dad, and as a family unit. And again, as a child grows, their needs differ. So for example, right now my child is 9 months, so it was very important for me for her to go to a place where there were a few people in the class so that she would have lots of attention. But once she's 2, well, you know, that might be a different thing. Or once she's 3 and I want her to get ready for school, her needs will be different. So it's important to always assess where your child is at and what they need at that particular time. And the last thing is, I will not emphasize on this enough, childcare here in the UK is expensive, so it's important to plan, to budget, and to save for it. If you've got your child right now, maybe they're 2 and you then want them to go to school with, you know, trying to actually look for schools right now. If you're going to plan to have a family, maybe just set aside already your childcare fund, you know, even years before. I feel like that's what we should have done. And for baby number 2, that's what we're going to do. You know, always have a pot that you're already putting aside for childcare, because if you are working and you want to continue working, it's inevitable. So yeah, guys, that is my understanding of how childcare works in the UK. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share my videos. And until next time, bye for now.